issues in the world. She is equally the coordinator of the Monitor and Evaluation Coordinator of the Southwest and Northwest Women Task Force. She's in the house with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting SNOT to this program. In fact, SNOT holds this program in high esteem. That's why, despite the fact that the coordinator, the general coordinator for SNOT is unavailable, she did everything to ensure that SNOT is represented.
All the way from Boya.
All the way from Boya, yes, all the way from Boya. And we are delighted to participate in this program because the issue of peace for SNOT is in our hearts, not just as mothers, but as participants in the community. And so we think that it is so vital for us to be here to give our views regarding the major national dialogue that has been called by the head of state, which has been a cry for SNOT members. So SNOT, which actually means Southwest Northwest Women's Task Force. Yeah. Yes, we have been crying, lamenting on the sufferings of the women, our children, our husbands, during this period of crisis. And we think that this time of dialogue is an opportunity that we have to seize.
Okay, it's an opportunity. You have been crying for dialogue or for a solution to be found for the ongoing crisis affecting not only the mothers and children, but almost everybody in the Northwest and Southwest region and Cameroon as a whole. When the president announced, or when it was announced that the president was going to address the nation on Tuesday, which it finally did, were you satisfied with the announcement for that grand national dialogue?
Yes, we were satisfied because it had been our cry. We had called on the president to, call a dialogue because when, your children are fighting, because we are the mothers, be it on the government side or on the side of the separatists who are fighting, we are their mothers, we are their wives, so we have been calling. And so when the president called it, we were excited, we were happy. During the visit of the prime minister to the Northwest and Southwest, one of our proposal that we gave to him was that they should call a grand national dialogue where the parties to the conflict can come together and discuss, whatever is causing the discontent in the state. And so we thought that the idea of calling a national dialogue means that the president who has listened to the cry, not only of the women, but of other stakeholders and even the international community that has been requesting that this dialogue be called so that we can discuss the issues that pertain to the country and bring back peace.
After that announcement was made by the President of the Republic, that was Tuesday, precisely, you people reacted. You issued a communique that is on your page.
On our social media page, Facebook page.
Yes, which you people say you want a dialogue that is very, very inclusive. How inclusive is the dialogue as prescribed by the President of the Republic?
Well, from what the President presented in his speech, which we say it might not be very effective the way people would have expected, but we think that it's an opening, that nobody should say you are not going to participate. It's an opening. We saw it as an opening for people to come in to discuss, because you cannot refuse something when you are outside. It's good to get into it and then you participate in the process. Because if you are out of the process, then your ideas will be left out. And for us, we felt that no matter the, inconsistency aspect, the reflections of the other parties, we still think that the dialogue is important.
It's important, but let us look at the inclusiveness of it. Do you think that the call that has been made by the President of the Republic actually is an open check to all the stakeholders, because you want all the stakeholders to be
on board?
Yeah. You think that every stakeholder has been invited to the dialogue table?
Well, we think that every stakeholder has been invited because the president in his speech said that the diaspora is invited and the armed groups are invited and other political and opinion leaders are invited. So we believe that it's an open check. We need to seize the opportunity and participate in it because the conflicts has been going on for 3 years. It's important that something should be done to bring an end to it. So we think that it is open, it's an open check. Even though at some point the president said that those who have double nationalities, may not.
Cameroon does not
recognize.
Yeah. Yes. So already acquiring the
nationality of another state might exclude, but that is why we as North appealed to the president because he is like the father of the nation.
Well, we are sorry for that slight technical difficulty we encountered, but we thank God we're back and ready to get running. We are going to continue with our discussions with a guest who is in the house this evening. That is Dr. Rose, who is a historian lecturer at the University of Boya, representing the Southwest and Northwest Women Task Force. Very, very involved and implicated in the ongoing conflicts. They have made several proposals to the national and international community as far as bringing this whole conflict to a halt is concerned. So they are here expressing their reaction to the call made by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, Tuesday, calling for a grand national dialogue. Doctor, I was asking you that in your response, you said you wanted the government to give guarantee of security, transparency, and accountability, and that dialogue should include all stakeholders, that is, opinion leaders representing political, civil society, amongst others. How representative are these persons cited? Do people still believe that they carry their aspirations?
Actually, as I said, we believe that for peace to reign, our goal, we are a humanitarian organization and we are interested in restoring the peace that we used to enjoy before 2016. And we think that these people have a say. You understand, their opinion equally counts.
Everybody should be given
a chance. You know, and we are saying that the secessionists should not be on the table alone. It's a problem of all the Anglophones and all the elected officials. There are people Anglophones had given their confidence to through an election. Whatever the problem that might have transpired within this period does not actually relieve them of that function. And so we still think that it is important because it's a problem that touches on every Anglophone, everybody. And so we think that they should be there. And women too should occupy a very important position within the dialogue table.
Yeah, you raised in your response that women constitute above 50% of the population of the Northwest and Southwest region, and that you want women aptly represented in all the commissions that are going to be created during. What difference would the women make?
Now, women are natural peace builders, and women have a tendency to absorb pain and to, you know, bring down tempers. And we think that women will play a very important role, not only to ensure that the aspirations of women is equally included in the dialogue table, but in a situation where, you know, there is some kind of tension, the presence of the women in those, you know, committees will kind of try to bring down tempers so that communication, negotiations can flow.
Is it not also an issue of representation where you want that decisions should not only be taken in your absence?
That is why we have said that women, so that the interests of the women, the aspirations of the women should be involved on the table, and the women should participate in the process of the decision making, so that we also, appropriate it. We own the process as women. We don't just want to sit behind and let the men go and take decisions for us, because we are in a crisis where women were not at the front line.
Yeah.
It is true that you find women on both sides of the game. There are women on the separatist side, there are women on the side of the government, but the role of the women in the crisis, that in creating the problem, has not actually been at the forefront. But this time we think that as women, since we suffer a lot the impact of the conflict, it is important that we come out to. You want
greater representation.
Representation,
yeah. You go to say that you would want women from the grassroots to be represented at that table.
Yes.
Now, are you in touch with those who are internally displaced? Are you in touch with refugees? Are you in touch with those who are living in the villages? Are there some mechanisms that you are setting in place already to be able to move them if you are given opportunity to get them to the dialogue table?
Yes, we have connections, because we have the SNOT is not only represented at the regional level.
Okay.
We have taken it down to the rural women. We have identified rural women's groups that we are partnering with them to facilitate the process of restoring peace. Yeah, so we already have a number of women's groups that we are working with. We are also working with internally displaced women, and connections too with those in the refugees. So SNOT is in order in this direction.
The announced dialogue is in 2 weeks. Are you already working towards that?
Yes, we are already working towards that. We are doing that already.
Okay, you desire a safe and secure environment where all parties can speak freely. What do you mean by that?
We mean that is in a situation of dialogue. Nobody should be afraid, because we need to air out. Like Winston Churchill says, talk is better than war.
Yeah.
So we need an environment where people will be free to speak out their minds without any fear of anything.
When you say you want it, what do you expect from the government?
We are expecting that the government would put in those facilities, make a statement on it, on the security of those who will be involved in the dialogue, and provide that security for them. So once you are a participant in the dialogue, you are sure that you are there for the state. You are not there talking on your own. You are communicating the minds of people whom you represent. And in that case, whatever you are communicating or whatever you are saying, it's not you that is saying it, but you are bringing it, because everybody cannot be on the dialogue.
In effect, what you are saying is that there should not be any arrests for people.
There should not be arrests for those who say whatever they want to say, because it's an opportunity for us to air out, and then now we start fixing what has to be fixed, and what we cannot fix, we see how we can manage them.
You're expecting the government to issue a declaration of guarantee
of the participants into the dialogue, because we think that if that is done, it will give some credibility, and it will make it easy for people who may want to participate in the dialogue, but for one reason or the other, they have some resentment, thinking that maybe if I go, this might happen. If I go, this might happen. But if that government comes out with that declaration, it will give more confidence into the process, trust into the process, and we'll have many more people participating.
Doctor, some people think that Yaoundé is not the best place for such a dialogue. Others opine that it should be moved to Boya. Some say in Bamenda. Others say Douala Nkong Samba. What is your position?
Well, I think if we go and look at the speech of the president did not specify exactly where the dialogue will take place.
Yeah.
The prime minister who is chairing the dialogue, his seat is in Yaoundé, but that there is nothing in the speech of the president designating the specific space where the dialogue will take place. So that worry is important because those are issues that should be discussed at the pre-dialogue phase. And we think that the parties to the dialogue should be the best people to determine where that dialogue should take place. And for SNOT, we think that since this problem particularly concerns Anglophones, they are the key issue in the conflict. They should agree whether they want to meet, say, in Boya or in Bamenda, or they want to meet in another place that they feel comfortable working there. I think that is left to the stakeholders to decide. It's not just one person that will say, no, the dialogue should take place here, the dialogue should take place here. And I'm sure that is certainly why the president did not include a specific location of the dialogue venue on his speech, in his speech rather.
Yeah, the pre-talks or pre-consultations have started already with the Prime Minister discussing with ministers from the Northwest and Southwest region. He met also with the governors and traditional rulers. He met with the Social Democratic Front, after which they made their position known to the world. Is that a sign of seriousness? Do you really believe in this process, the announced dialogue?
I believe in it. I believe in the process, because if they had just announced the dialogue and the next day people are called, you know, it would have been a problem. But we see that they are doing the pre-phase. There is a preparatory phase, and the Prime Minister is listening to all these voices, getting their opinion. And I'm sure before the final decision of the dialogue, certain things might change along the line, because you need credibility, and credibility will come from the input that the other stakeholders are making into the dialogue table. And I think that is why we believe in SNOT, that since peace is priceless, it's something that we cannot trade for anything. We are appealing to our sons who have been fighting, who are in the diaspora, who are discontented. We are not saying that we SNOT members, we are not, because we are suffering the pinch of all the struggle. We are appealing to them to give a listening ear to this dialogue and to make their points clear. Whatever they want to see on the dialogue table, they should channel it through the Prime Minister, and I'm sure something will be done.
Are you also making that appeal to your sons who are in government?
Yes, we are doing that. We are doing that as mothers. We have done so. We have spoken with the Prime Minister on that issue, and we have talked to other ministers on that issue.
You want international observers to be present in the course of the dialogue, say the United Nations, France, Britain, and a host of others. What would be their role in the dialogue, and what is going to change because international observers are there?
Now, well, you know, the presence of international observers, will give credibility to the process.
They've always been there for elections, yeah?
Yeah, they've always been there for the elections. As observers, you just watch and make a statement, not so. And in that case, they will still do that. But we are thinking that they will not only be there as observers, because in the course of a national dialogue, the national dialogue is a broad-based dialogue where the people discuss the issues that are affecting their lives.
Yeah.
But there could be a situation where, you know, negotiations between the parties to the conflict is not flowing. And we are thinking that the observers, even though we've just put the observers, but we can go beyond that, because they can play the role of a mediator where there is difficulty in the process. So we think that even though it's just a national, not just, even it is, though it is a grand or a major national dialogue that is constituted of Cameroonians, it is important that in the planning, we should earmark the observers, the presence of observers, and even the presence of mediators.
So if I understand,
facilitate the process.
if I understand what you are saying, international there should be international presence.
There should be international presence.
Who should be given a role not only to observe, but possibility to intervene, and assist when there are misunderstandings. So what would they be doing?
One of the key role of a mediator there, as I said earlier on, because in the process of dialoguing also, there is negotiation, because we identify the parties to the conflict. Those who want the secession, those who want federalism, and those who believe that this country should stay
the way it is.
The status quo should be maintained. And these are the issues once they are discussing where there is a deadlock in the process of their negotiation, then the mediator can come in to help facilitate, communication between the groups.
How do we identify credible international observers when we know that most observers or most international instances come into conflicts with clear interests to defend either for one or the other party?
We're going to look at their track records. There are international observers that have track records, and those that the parties to the conflict will accept.
Okay. Okay, so
look at their track record.
The parties, the stakeholders are supposed to be consulted to give their
give their consent to whoever will mediate the process.
Now, you want the deliberations in Yaoundé. I'm going by your outing after you people received the message of the head of state. You came out with the communique using your points. You say you want a live coverage of the deliberations on media, on social media. What would change if everybody is following? It means you want everybody to actually follow what is being said?
Yes, we think that's important that people should follow what is being said, and we think that media coverage should not just be limited to following what is being said, but there could be a pre-stage where people can channel their worries to the committees, and if people are following the process live, they appropriate it. They feel that they are part of the process, so that they are not left out. That you sit and tomorrow you hear that this decision has been taken, this has been taken, but you are following it live, you are watching it live, and you are able to make an input.
Okay. The media should serve as a rallying force to bring Cameroonians from all 10 regions, all the divisions, to be able to
watch at their very corners, at their various corners, because everybody will not be on the dialogue table. But if the media coverage, is present, people will be informed, because the media will help to, communicate the information to the public. So we think that if the media is present, information will flow easily and people will be aware of what is happening.
Now, you people are talking on media here. We are in Douala, and certainly you talk on media in Boya and in Yaoundé. Practically speaking, we have mothers who are in Manu today. We have mothers who are in Isangele. Some are in Mwa, in Ndop. Are you in touch with them as we speak to get them ready for this dialogue?
We are working on something. We might, because we had started working, getting the women at the grassroots involved, getting their opinions and their aspirations. We are still in the process of doing that.
Let's get back to when the crisis started. You shocked the world, Cameroon as a whole also, when you staged the lamentation manifestation in Boya and then later moved it to Bomenda. What was achieved with that campaign?
That campaign achieved a lot.
Okay.
Yes, because that was the first time when women came out to show, to cry out their agony, their pain that they have been going through for the past number of years, because that campaign was done in August and in September of last year.
Yeah.
And it made the world to be aware. It created an awareness of the challenges that people are going through in Cameroon, not only the women, but you know, the entire population. It created that awareness. And I'm sure certainly the cry was heard by the head of state, because that is some of the reasons that he has mentioned that has made him to know that no, people have cried. It is important that this dialogue should be called. And when the prime minister came, because of the cry that the women, you know, had lamented, he saw the women in their black and orange scarf, because black, we put on black because it signifies that we are mourning. We are mourning our children who have died. We are mourning our children, husbands who have been kidnapped and all of that, and the pain that we are going through. So we put on the black, and the orange, we show that it is non-violence. And he had seen us during the period of lamentation. And when he came for his tour in the Northwest and Southwest, he identified us in this attire, and he quickly called for us and he received us. So that's equally an impact. And after the cry that we had, after the lamentation, many embassies were willing to receive us, to hear our plight and our call for dialogue. So we think that it has created a lot of impact.
Are there plans to give it a broader vision? Or yes, are there plans to get many more women to what you guys are doing?
That we are saying that we have already done so, because recently we had a meeting in Bamenda and another one in Boya this August.
Yeah, when I talk about
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
And so that was to get more women involved.
Yeah, but we've not seen you beyond Boya and Bamenda.
No, we are in the rural areas. We have not come out. We are planning another opportunity to bring the women out, but we are getting to the rural areas to touch
because I was
women.
expecting to see, when I say broadening the scope of your activities, I was imagining you telling me that in the next month people are going to do lamentation in Kumba or Imanfe, or why not in some of these remote areas?
Well, we have cried. And we think that the head of state has heard us. He has called for a grand national dialogue. We are no longer crying now. Our interest now is to ensure that the dialogue takes place. So what we are doing now, we are getting the women aware of what is happening concerning the dialogue, gathering information as per their aspirations, what they want to see represented on the dialogue table, and see how women can be part of that dialogue table. We have lamented. I don't think
no lamentation takes place in Douala, nothing in Yaoundé.
We did one in Yaoundé. Maybe you were not aware of it.
Yaoundé was in a hall.
A seat,
was in a hall.
Not really.
Was in a hall.
Not really. Not really. We did it in Bamenda and in Boya because that is where the crisis is. We don't have to come and cry in Douala.
There are IDPs here. There are IDPs in Douala and in Yaoundé.
Yes, but we did not have to come and cry in Douala. The problem is not happening in Douala. The problem is the other way.
Okay, let's get back to the dialogue. It has been called and announced that it is going to be chaired by the Prime Minister of Cameroon, who happens to be an Anglophone. Is it to say that because it's an Anglophone problem, an Anglophone should head it? Meanwhile, some people want somebody, a neutral person, to chair deliberations. What is the position of SNOT? Are you people very comfortable that it is going to be chaired by the Prime Minister?
The position of SNOT with regards to who chairs the dialogue depends on those who are conflicting parties. SNOT is apolitical. SNOT's role is to ensure that the parties to the conflict, they get to a level that they can be talking to each other. And with regards to whoever chairs the dialogue, I think we leave that to the conflicting parties to agree on who chairs the dialogue. But we think that whatever the conflicting party will agree, SNOT will support it.
But you people are a major stakeholder. You are the mothers.
Yes, we are the mothers.
You are the mothers of the armed separatists. You are the mothers of the government side. So you want them to agree and then you give your blessing?
Well, yeah, when they agree, we give our blessings. But if they don't get to any agreement, then we can come in and we say, okay, if you can't agree, then we help you agree on something. But we think that for now, the prime minister chairing, the dialogue, it's coordinating it at the national level. When the dialogue itself will begin, certainly a decision will be taken as to who will preside over this and over that. It is left to the parties, the conflicting parties, to decide who should chair the dialogue.
Okay, so you are calling on those who are watching who may have problems with the prime minister. You are suggesting that the prime minister may just play a coordinating role and that some other person be given a free hand to do the day-to-day handling of deliberations.
Certainly, the prime minister will not be able to do everything with regards to the dialogue, because the dialogue, if you look at the president's speech, has a number of issues. And if you have to the prime minister has to handle all of those issues, then we are going to weigh him out. So I'm sure in the preparatory stage, the modalities as to how the dialogue will go on will be established, and we will have many other people performing very vital functions in the chain of the dialogue. And the prime minister will simply be coordinating it. So I don't think that should be a problem why anybody should not go into the dialogue table. But for us as North, whatever the conflicting parties agree on, we push it.
When the prime minister came to the Northwest, in Bamenda, he received notes. The mothers were crying. In Boya, too, you people were received. But before that, you people were in Yaoundé. You were received by the prime minister in Yaoundé. What did you discuss with him? What promise did he make to you?
What we discussed with the prime minister, we explained to him the plight of the women. Not only the women, as we have said, our sons, our daughters, that we can no longer go to our farms. Women are giving birth in the bushes. Our children are not going to school. And many people have been killed and all of that. And the promise, what we requested from him was that he should channel our problem to the president, and that we are calling for a dialogue, that a dialogue should be opened on these issues that are burning in the states. And we think that he heard, because he made a promise to us in Boya that he has heard our cry and he will channel our request to the president, the call for dialogue. And today the dialogue has come.
The children fighting are your children. Are you talking with them?
We are talking with them. We are talking with them because recently, before the resumption of schools, we had a back-to-school campaign. And because our children on the other side, as I can put it, were of the opinion that school should not resume. And so we sent a delegation from SNOT to meet with them in the diaspora, which they did. They met with all the parties in the diaspora, discussed with them. We explained to them the importance of education and why our children should not continue to stay at home. They have been at home now for 3 years. This is going 4 years. And they gave us their own views, which we have also channeled it to different quarters. That happened in August.
SNOT has been doing lots of things. You organized a back-to-school campaign. You did the lamentation campaigns in manifestations in Boya and in Bamenda, and a host of others you were seeing in Yaoundé. And people are asking the question, who is financing the activities of SNOT?
The women themselves.
Okay.
The women themselves are financing the activities of SNOT because we pay registration, we pay dues, and when we have an activity, we contribute from our pockets.
Are you also, nobody assists? from any quarter?
For now, we have not been looking for assistance from anywhere. We have been doing our things by ourselves. We've not been receiving funding from international bodies because we have not written any project to that effect. We still believe that the problem is our problem and we can use our means to see how we can address the problem.
The task force was born out of these conflicts to address the conflicts. And are you envisaging to disband after this conflict is resolved?
Well, conflict resolution is a process. When you resolve the conflict, you might have to still manage certain aspects of the conflict. So it will depend. Once the conflict ends, if we see that there are still a lot of problems, we need to build peace, we will still continue. That will depend on when we get to that bridge, we'll see how to cross it. But for now, our priority is to see how we can focus our energy to end the conflict. But with my experience in peace building, conflict resolution, and peace building is that it is a process. What might change is the agenda and the kinds of activities that we'll be focusing on. You know, maybe more of community-based activities, because now most of our activities is geared towards hierarchy, getting hierarchy to understand the plight and sufferings of the people and see how we can arrest the situation. Once that is done, then maybe people's life needs to be rebuilt. Then now we might change the objective and we refine our goals towards that direction.
Okay. The task force, as many people came to discover the task force in Boya when you did the campaign and in Bomenda. And recently when the Prime Minister came again, they saw you people in your orange and black. And people are wondering, what are these ladies doing aside when they organize these events? Are there some other activities that you do behind?
Like on individual basis?
As an association, what is it that you people do before coming to the limelight, before people discover that, okay, you are doing manifestation? What is SWOT doing?
Okay. Some of the activities we do is we do capacity building.
Okay.
Yeah, we train the women on issues of human rights. We train the women on mediation issues. We train them on peace building. So we do a lot of in-house training because we need the capacities of the women to be built. Because if women have to participate in the dialogue table, we don't want them to go and sit and be hand clappers. We want women to contribute significantly in the process. And for them to be able to do that, they need certain skills. They need to know certain issues. And so those are the things we do aside from coming out to lament. We have women that we have sent out for a training on mediation in August. A number of women from SNOT went to Kenya for a training on mediation, and we think that those women, they are back home now. Their skills will be useful in the process.
You've done just one training or several?
No, that one was just a particular training, but we've done some in-house training. That was a training that was done out of Cameroon.
So you can see
remember that SNOT was just created last year, in May last year. Yeah, so it has just been for 1 year. And if we have been able to send women out for training to build their skills, I think that's something.
You can say that now if we need expert peace negotiators in Cameroon, we can get them from SNOT.
You can get them from SNOT, because apart from the fact that SNOT has built skills, there are women in it with skills that they have brought in. We have women who are of the legal profession. We have women who are peace builders, experts in peace building like myself. And so we have all these women, and we have grassroots women too. You cannot ignore them, because sometimes you may think that because they are not littered in terms of Western education, they cannot, manage issues of peace, but they do have those indigenous skills that we equally need to manage peace. So we have all of that in SNOT.
Okay, you have all of that. Can we paint the picture of a typical woman living in Isangele today, or say in Kwakwa in the Southwest region today, especially after going through the 3 weeks lockdown? What is their condition?
It's pathetic. It's pathetic, and living in those areas now is it's like near living in hell. You know, you can't have your food, you're sick, you can't have medications, you can't go to the markets and all of that. So the picture is so bleak, and we think that we don't want to remain in that situation, and that is why SNOT is appealing to the stakeholders to, you know, come on board the dialogue table. Yeah, because many women are suffering. We are breadwinners. We can no longer feed our families. Aside from women in Kwakwa or Isangele, even the women in the cities are in very difficult situations, because if you are in towns like Kumba and Boya, if you are locked down in a house for 3 weeks, you can't go to the markets, you can't go about your activities. How do you feed your home? You see, most women, their husbands have dropped out of work because, you know, important corporations have shut down, like CDC, like PAMO. And so, you know, the body now falls on the woman to fend for the family, because whether there is strike or there is no strike, people have to eat. The stomach wants food. The stomach wants, the body needs medication. And so it's really a difficult situation for the women. And that is why we have put our voices together to, you know, call on our sons who are in the diaspora to hear the voice of national dialogue and to heed to it.
Now, many young girls are living in cities like Douala, where we are. Many of them are in Bafoussam, in Kongsamba, in Loum, in Yaoundé, living under very deplorable conditions, especially women also with children. Are you relating with them? Are you also giving them some training on how to survive better?
Yes, you see, SNOT is a coalition of civil society organizations.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. It's a coalition of civil society organizations. Sure. And within those civil society organizations, they have specific roles that they play. And so within those organizations, you find organizations that are working with the internally displaced persons. They have opened up centers where they train them, give them skills. They also have some that they are organizations that are involved in assisting them, those who are going to school. So those ones are done by the individual organizations within SNOT.
Yeah. Okay. Now, recommendations are made the government to organize dialogue without preconditions. Almost everybody is setting conditions. Like you are saying that you want it, you want the government to give guarantees. You want, this person says we want neutral person. Almost everybody is giving condition. Does that work in favor of the dialogue or kills the spirit of the dialogue?
No, I think it works in favor of the dialogue, because every opinion counts, but not every opinion should be accepted, because we cannot work on all opinions. So by the time we have all the opinions, we'll get to the drawing board and we see if we can find a middle ground. Yeah. So we think that it should not kill the spirit of the dialogue. Instead, it should ignite it to show that people are interested in the dialogue. Because if people are not interested in the dialogue, they will not be making any contribution towards the dialogue. And so we think that the different contributions are important in this pre-phase, which shows that, you know, the participation is active.
Now, what is the spirit that you want to see prevail during the dialogue?
Tolerance, acceptance, love, because we are Christians. Even if we are not Christians, we are Muslims, we believe in God. And we know that God is love. And the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sin. Even in the president's speech, he said that nobody is perfect. So if we as individuals, we see ourselves that we are not perfect, then we should not expect another person to be very perfect. And so if we go in with that spirit of tolerance, we'll be able to make progress.
Do you believe that at the end of this dialogue, the Anglophone problem will be laid to rest?
Belief
It's relative?
is an overstatement, but we think that a major stride will be made. Yes, we think that there will be a major stride that would lead to resolution of the problem, because the dialogue is just a phase in solving the problem. It's a product of the dialogue that will determine whether we still have to move ahead in negotiations and all of that, or we are going to rest it. Yeah, so I don't think it's something that is fixed, but I believe that once we get into the dialogue table, we will make progress.
If you have something, if SNOT has something to tell the Prime Minister as he goes along this pre-consultative period, addressing or receiving different civil society organizations, traditional and other authorities, what should the Prime Minister be looking out for? He should be tolerant, like you say. He should show love. What should he be looking out for?
No, what I think the Prime Minister should be looking out for, or maybe I want to put it another way around, the problem that has called for the dialogue primarily concerns two regions, the two English-speaking regions. And I think that as they are going into the dialogue issue, the first thing to do is to get these two people to talk to themselves. Get the Anglophones to talk to themselves, because the dialogue is between the Anglophones and the government.
Yeah.
So it's important that the Prime Minister gets the Anglophones together.
Okay.
Or maybe either the Prime Minister or the Anglophones should come together, talk to themselves, you understand, before they
carry a common,
common, you know.
Okay. So, Dr. Anjoh Rose was our guest for the program today. She is the Monitoring and Evaluation Coordinator of the Southwest and Northwest Women Task Force. She is a lecturer at the University of Boya. She is a historian and an expert on peace development issues. It was a pleasure having you on the point.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And I want to use this opportunity to say that the General Coordinator for SNOT would have loved to be here, but we have communicated the position of SNOT, and we believe that our listeners, our sons who are in the diaspora would hear our appeal and come to the dialogue table. They might have differences with the way the dialogue has been constituted, but it's only if they come to the table, then they can, you know, present their position. Staying out will not help us. Peace, as we say, is priceless.
Yeah.
It's something we shouldn't trade for any other thing. And if we love peace, then we should come to the dialogue table, and we think that we are going to make progress.
Doctor, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.